All right, my friends, how you doing out there? It's the Ozman with you again. All right, so this is going to be a relatively short portion of the video. I don't know if I'm going to connect this with another part of the video or this is going to be its own little thing. But if you watched my last video where I was at the Venice Beach, Santa Monica Beach, I was mentioning that my Harley-Davidson Road Glide stalled out on me on the freeway. I think it's a crankshaft sensor. I replaced the sensor. But, and I rode it back from a mechanic without any issues, but I haven't ridden it since then because the heat of the live in Los Angeles, there's been a heat wave over here, and I've just been busy and a bunch of other stuff came up. But anyway, it's now a weekday. It's about 6:30 in the afternoon here. So I'm gonna bump into a lot of traffic. But I'm not going to go very far. I'm just going to do a short little ride. Maybe I'll stop by the supermarket. I got to pick up some groceries. I don't know if I'll get around to that, but just want to see if the bike stalls out on me, if it's running good. I do plan this weekend to take a longer ride. Maybe I'll attach that video with this video. I don't know. We'll just see how it all goes. But anyway, why don't you join me as we take the old Road Glide. It's back there. You see it? Road Glide. And we see if it stalls out of me. If it stalls out of me, you're going to witness it because I'm going to be recording the ride. All right, so I'm cruising up to Century City. I'm testing out the bike. You know, I recently replaced the crankshaft sensor, and my bike stalled out on me the other day on the freeway because of the sensor. So I'm doing a little short ride right now to make sure the sensor is running is pretty good and the bike doesn't give me any issues before I do a long ride. Up ahead is what used to be the 20th Century Studios, but now is the Fox Studios. That's straight ahead as you're watching the video. And, you know, going to do a little cruise around Century City. I always liked the Century City. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a nice little area to check out, and I thought, why not take you along for the ride? So, let's explore a little bit of Century City as I test out the crankshaft sensor. We're entering Century City. So far the bike's running pretty good, but we'll see. This, you know, I'm going to take the bike around the neighborhood a bit, but so far so good. So knock on wood, as they say. Anyway, Century City. All right, you know, as we're cruising around here, testing out the crankshaft sensor and all that fun stuff, I thought, you know, this would be a moment where I could talk about something that I think is kind of interesting. You know, I was watching this financial advisor, and he was talking about how people shouldn't buy a new car because a new car is a waste of money, and you know, it depreciates value and all this stuff. And then this woman called into his show and said, but you don't understand, I need a new car because I have car trauma. And the guy's like, car trauma? What the hell are you talking about? What the hell's car trauma? And she said, well, that's when you had a car that breaks down all the time, and you know, you don't want another car that has problems. So you don't want to buy a used car because it's just going to break down all the time. So you want to buy a brand new car because you know it's always going to run. And he's like, well, you know, you could always buy a more reliable used car. You should just keep buying used cars until you find one that's reliable, which is, to me, not the best response. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing up that story is that's kind of how I feel now with my bike. I've always felt very confident with this bike. Always felt like I can take this bike anywhere. But when it stalled on me on the freeway, and, you know, I had to pull, you know, luckily I could coast. I had enough momentum, enough inertia that I could coast to the side of the freeway to the breakdown lane. You know, it shook my faith here on my Harley, and it made me feel like, well, you know, can I trust this bike again? You know, can I have that blind trust that I've had all this time with it? And the only way to really gain that trust with a motorcycle or a car after it's let you down is you just got to keep driving or riding it over and over again, and it's got to sort of reprove itself, right? Kind of like if your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, cheated on you, in order to feel any loyalty towards them again or any trust in them again, they got to reprove themselves. So for me, right now, as I'm riding my motorcycle, I'm kind of testing it to see if I can reestablish that trust in my motorcycle that I once had. You know, now that I just finished making that little statement about, building trust again with the vehicle, like you would with your significant other, I just realized I think I'm what do they call it? Anthropomorphizing a relationship between me and my motorcycle, and we as humans have a weird way of doing that. Like I just said, I gotta rebuild trust with my motorcycle, but my motorcycle is just a machine. It doesn't need to rebuild trust with me. It's just going to be a machine. But it's so weird how we as humans have this way of putting our feelings into a machine of some kind, right? So, with the rise of AI and delivery robots and driverless cars, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to vandalize this car, or I'm going to vandalize this robot. But those machines, they're just doing their job. AI just does its job. None of these machines have feelings. So it's so weird how we as humans put feeling into machines, but machines are just machines. So now that I've made that statement, I'm starting to think it's kind of weird that I'm saying I have to rebuild trust with my motorcycle. All right, we're just riding around Century City right now. It's where a lot of the rich people live. I always like riding around here. Even though there's traffic, it's not as bad as it normally is, so that's good. The weather's cooling down a little bit, but anyway, let's keep riding. All right, my friends. Well, I stopped at this park for a little pit stop. The sun's going down. The bike seems to be running pretty good so far. Let me show you the beast. All right, there she is in all its glory. The 2021 Harley-Davidson Road Glide. All right. What a beauty. Well, it does seem to be running okay. I'm going to be heading back home. I was going to stop by the store, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling it, so I'm going to head home. Bike seems to be running pretty good. Let me show you though what the sensor is. So in case you have the same issue where maybe your bike is stalling out on you. So there's a crankshaft sensor, and that's the sensor that basically tells the computer when to send fuel to the motor, to the engine. So let me show you where it is. So I don't know if you can see this right here. Can you see that? Right there, this thing? Right there. See that? That's the crankshaft sensor right there, okay? And the reason sometimes it may go bad is because it's down there near the ground where all the dirt and the grime and the water and everything hits it. So mine lasted about 5 years. I'm hoping this will last at least 100. But in any case, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm here at this park. Maybe I'll show you guys around a little bit before I head out. All right, my friends. So I'm here at this park. During the COVID days, when everything was shut down, I wanted to try to exercise. So I've come to this park here and, do some exercising. But now that COVID is done, or at least sort of done, depending on who you ask, I go to a gym. But anyway, here's a little bit of the park. Don't want to bother too many people out there because people get kind of freaked out. People get kind of freaked out after a while if they see a man with tall boots walking around the park here with a Black Sabbath shirt. But thought I'd take a little walk, show you around a little bit. Let's see. There's also a golf course over here. I've never been a big golf person. My mom actually told me when I started getting into motorcycling, she goes, "Why do you have to be a biker? Why don't you take up golf?" But I don't know. I've never really been attracted to playing golf, unfortunately. And then another woman I saw on YouTube. Was it YouTube? I can't remember if it was YouTube or some other Instagram or whatever it was. Anyway, she's into guns. And she said, why would people play golf when you can shoot guns? So everybody's got their thing. I think it's time for me to head back home. The bike seems to be running okay. And then Saturday I'm going to take it out for a longer ride. And then I'll know for sure if it's back to its normal greatness or if I need to keep figuring out what's wrong with it. But in the meantime, hopefully I don't have any more problems. Let me show you the tall boots a little bit, because I know my viewers like tall boots. So let me bring this down for a bit. All right, wearing my tall Wescos, of course. These are the old ones. I'm gonna probably not. I probably won't use the new Wescos until next year on the motorcycle. I have, of course, I've used them for going out and all that fun stuff. But as far as on the motorcycle, I'm probably gonna wear the old Wescos until next year. I got a few events coming up that I want to wear the new Wescos too, and I want them to look sparkling. So that's what I'm saving them for. But once those events are over, then I'm gonna, put those boots to work on the motorcycle. So look forward to that. All right, my friends, I'm going to call it a day. So until next time, you ride like the wind, don't let that wind ride you. And I'll see you in the next video. You guys take care, all right?